Hey everyone, I'm here to help you relax and drift off tonight. If you enjoy using these videos to fall asleep, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more calming content. Share where you're watching from and what time it is for you. I'd love to know. Now settle into a cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's start unwinding together. In the quiet village of Ravenscross, nestled among windswept moors and gnarled woodlands, the bell's legend was woven into the fabric of daily life. Elders spoke in hushed voices of nights when a solitary toll would echo across the hills, heralding a death that had touched the community. The bell was rumored to have been cast in molten bronze by a master craftsman in an age-long past, a relic imbued with a sorrowful magic that bridged the mortal realm with that of the unseen. While many dismissed it as superstition, a deep-rooted respect for its ominous power kept the people wary and reverent. In taverns and around crackling fires, tales were told of families united in grief, of solitary souls comforted by the sound that reminded them that none were spared from life's impermanence. Among those captivated by the lore was a young man named Elias Gray, a quiet, introspective individual whose own experiences with loss had rendered him both sensitive and determined to understand the mysteries of death. Elias had grown up hearing that the bell's toll was not random. It was as if it sought out every passing life, ringing once for each soul's departure. In his heart, he wondered if perhaps the bell was more than a harbinger of doom. Maybe it was also a guardian, a bridge between this world and the next. At the outskirts of Ravenscross stood an ancient chapel, its stone walls crumbling and overgrown with ivy. Long abandoned by the faithful, it had become the resting place of memories and the sanctuary of the mysterious bell. Legend had it that the chapel was built by a reclusive order of monks who believed that the bell held the power to purify souls by marking the end of their mortal journey. The monks had spent years perfecting their rites, ensuring that every toll was accompanied by silent prayers and heartfelt laments. When the order vanished under mysterious circumstances, the bell remained, a solitary sentinel in a crumbling edifice, its voice echoing across the centuries. Elias, driven by both personal loss and a yearning for truth, made his way to the chapel one autumn evening. The chill wind and the rustle of dead leaves formed a somber symphony as he pushed open the heavy, creaking door. Inside, shafts of moonlight revealed rows of empty pews and a stone altar, upon which rested the ancient bell. As he approached, his heart quickened, and for a moment, he could almost hear the faint murmur of long-forgotten prayers whispering through the cold air. It was on that fateful night, beneath a sky heavy with gathering clouds, that Elias witnessed the bell's mysterious power firsthand. Seated in a quiet corner of the chapel, he pored over an old ledger found in the ruins, a ledger detailing the names of those who had died in the village over many generations. As midnight approached, the silence became profound, and a single sonorous tone broke through the stillness. The bell had tolled. Elias felt a chill ripple through him, a sensation both physical and spiritual. The sound was unlike anything he had heard before, deep, resonant, and laden with an ineffable sorrow. In that moment, he recalled a recent tragedy, the passing of his dear friend, Marianne. Though he had known of her fragile health, her death had come unexpectedly, leaving a void in his heart. The bell's toll, echoing in the empty chapel, seemed to call out her name, binding his grief to the ancient magic of the relic. It was as though the bell was a cosmic metronome, marking the relentless march of fate and reminding him that every life, no matter how cherished, was destined to be measured by its final chime. Haunted by the bell's mournful toll and driven by a desperate need to understand its true nature, Elias embarked on a quest for answers. He visited the local archives in Ravenscross, combing through brittle manuscripts and faded parchments that recounted the history of the chapel and the mystical order that had once inhabited it. In one fragile scroll, he discovered cryptic passages written in an archaic tongue, hinting at the bell's dual purpose: to mark the passing of life and to serve as a guide for souls on their journey to the next world. Elias learned that the bell was part of a sacred ritual, one designed to help the departed find their way to a realm of eternal peace. The scroll spoke of an ancient prophecy that foretold a time when the bell would ring for every soul that left the mortal coil, its toll acting as both a lament and a benediction. Yet it also warned that the bell's power was not without peril. Those who meddled with its magic could risk unbalancing the delicate interplay between life and death. The more Elias read, the more he realized that the bell was both a source of solace and a burden, a timeless reminder that every farewell carried with it the potential for both sorrow and renewal. One particularly compelling narrative emerged from the records, a story of a fallen monk named Brother Anselm, whose life had been dedicated to the service of the chapel and the protection of its sacred relics. Anselm was renowned for his unwavering devotion and his extraordinary ability to soothe troubled souls with gentle prayers and kind words. However, when a terrible plague swept through the village, many lives were lost, and even the stalwart monk could not prevent the inevitable. Overwhelmed by grief and guilt, Anselm is said to have made a desperate pact with the forces beyond, vowing to sacrifice his earthly existence in exchange for a single toll of the bell that would bring comfort to those left behind. In a moment of transcendence, the bell tolled as he lay dying, and from that day forward, its voice carried the weight of his sorrow and his unyielding hope for redemption. The legend of Brother Anselm resonated deeply with Elias, who saw in the monk's sacrifice a mirror of his own longing to find meaning amid loss. If the bell could embody the spirit of one who had given everything for the sake of truth and healing, perhaps its magic held the secret to reconciling the pain of mortality with the promise of an enduring legacy. Motivated by the monk's tale, Elias began to seek out those in the village who had been touched by the bell's somber toll. He visited grieving families, listened to their accounts of loss, and recorded their whispered memories in his journal. Every story he heard deepened his understanding of the bell's profound impact on the community. To many, the bell was not a harbinger of doom, but a gentle reminder that each life was precious and that the sorrow of parting could eventually give way to healing. Elias also encountered skeptics, those who believed the bell was nothing more than a relic of superstition, a faded echo of a bygone era. Yet even they could not deny the uncanny events that had unfolded whenever the bell tolled. Over time, his journey became a tapestry of shared grief and collective hope, a mosaic of human experience that revealed the fragile beauty of life and death. As the anniversary of Brother Anselm's final toll approached, the villagers of Ravenscross decided to honor his memory with a solemn ceremony. They gathered at the chapel on a cool, starlit night, lighting candles and reciting prayers that had been passed down through generations. Elias, now a respected chronicler of the bell's legend, was invited to lead the ritual, a role he accepted with both trepidation and reverence. With the bell suspended in the silent air above them, the villagers joined their voices in a poignant chant. Each toll of the bell was awaited with bated breath, as if it could herald a moment of divine intervention, a promise that the departed had found their way to the realm of eternal peace. In that hallowed space, the boundary between the living and the dead seemed to blur, and for a few transcendent moments, the villagers felt united in their shared humanity and sorrow. The ritual was a cathartic release, a way to honor the past and to nurture the hope that, even in the face of death, life continued in every memory and every whispered prayer. In the aftermath of the ritual, Ravenscross underwent a quiet transformation. The bell, which had long been a source of dread for its ominous portent, now assumed a dual role, a symbol of both loss and of the eternal cycle of renewal. Families began to keep mementos of their loved ones in the chapel, and the bell's toll was no longer met with panic, but with a somber acceptance, and a deep sense of connection to those who had passed beyond. Elias dedicated himself to preserving the history of the bell. He compiled his journal, along with the myriad accounts of grief, hope, and transformation he had collected, into a comprehensive chronicle titled The Toll of Time. The book, filled with vivid narratives and heartfelt reflections, became a treasured artifact, a testament to the enduring power of memory and the quiet strength found in facing the inevitable with courage. Scholars and poets from far and wide traveled to Ravenscross to study the legend of the bell, drawn by its haunting melody and the profound emotions it stirred. In lectures and recitations, the bell's story was celebrated as an allegory for the human condition, a reminder that every life, no matter how brief, left an indelible mark on the fabric of time. As years turned to decades, Elias, now an elder with silvered hair and eyes that had seen the passage of countless seasons, continued to reflect on the bell's mystery. Late one winter night, while sitting in the chapel by a crackling fire, he sensed that the bell was calling to him with a final, urgent message. With a heart both heavy and hopeful, he ascended the creaking stairs to the bell tower, a place he had avoided for many years due to the overwhelming sorrow it often evoked. Inside the tower, the cold air was palpable, and every step echoed with the weight of memories. Standing before the ancient bell, Elias listened intently. In the silence that followed, he realized that the bell held one final secret. Its toll was not only a marker of death, but a bridge, a portal to the past, where the souls of those who had been lost might be gently recalled in the memories of the living. The bell's resonant tone, he understood, was a call to cherish every moment and to honor every life, for in each toll lay the promise that no soul was ever truly forgotten. In that moment of revelation, Elias vowed to continue sharing the bell's legacy, to ensure that its message of both sorrow and hope would never be silenced. The bell, with its deep, mournful cadence, had become not a symbol of fear, but a beacon of truth, a reminder that even as life fades, its echoes endure in the hearts of those left behind. In the years that followed, the town of Ravenscross embraced the bell as a cherished part of its identity. While its toll continued to mark the passing of souls, it also served as a call to remembrance, a solemn invitation to honor the lives that had touched the community. The chapel became a sanctuary where people gathered to celebrate the memories of their loved ones, and the bell's deep, resonant tones were interwoven with stories of courage, love, and the indomitable human spirit. Elias's chronicle, The Toll of Time, was passed down through the generations, inspiring those who read it to live with greater authenticity and compassion. In classrooms and community gatherings, the bell's story was recited as a powerful allegory for the transient nature of life and the enduring legacy of love. The once dreaded sound of the bell had transformed into a symbol of unity, a reminder that every farewell was but a prelude to the eternal cycle of life and memory. Now, as twilight falls softly over Ravenscross, and the world slows to listen to the gentle chime of the ancient bell, the legend endures, a timeless reminder that every life, no matter how brief, leaves behind echoes that resonate in the hearts of those who remain. In quiet moments of reflection, when the wind carries the faint sound of the bell's toll, one can almost hear the whispered promises of redemption and reunion, a silent assurance that no soul is ever truly lost. Elias, now a figure of myth himself, is remembered not only for his tireless quest to understand the bell's magic, but for his compassion in turning sorrow into hope. His legacy, like the bell's enduring toll, continues to inspire all who hear its call to live with integrity, to cherish every moment, and to find beauty even in the face of inevitable loss. Thus ends the saga of the bell that tolls when someone dies, a long, intricate tale of grief and grace, of endings and eternal beginnings, and of the profound truth that in every final chime there lies the promise of remembrance and the hope that life, in its endless cycle, continues to echo through time. In a forgotten era, when magic still wove its delicate tapestry through the everyday lives of mortals, there lived an elderly alchemist named Ambrose in a secluded hamlet. Ambrose was renowned for his experiments with the ethereal and the arcane, and his heart was burdened by the rampant dishonesty he witnessed in the world. Tired of seeing truth twisted by falsehood, he resolved to create an object that would serve as a guide, a small, unassuming candle, yet imbued with an enchantment so subtle and profound that it would reveal the veracity of every spoken word. Working in his candlelit workshop for countless nights, Ambrose combined rare waxes from mystical bees, infused with dew collected under the light of a full moon, and inscribed ancient runes into the wick. As the final stroke of his quill sealed the spell, the candle burst into life, its flame dancing with an otherworldly glow. In that moment, Ambrose knew that his creation was destined to change lives, a silent sentinel that would flicker and waver in the presence of deceit and burn unwaveringly when truth shone through. Centuries later, the candle found its way into the hands of a modest young scholar named Isabel Hawthorne, an orphan raised in the quiet corridors of Blackwood Manor. Isabel had grown up with stories of the candle's mystical properties, passed down by her late parents, who believed that truth was the foundation of a just and meaningful life. When a dusty, leather-bound chest was discovered in a forgotten corner of the manor's attic, Isabel uncovered the candle of truth along with a letter from her parents. A letter urging her to use the candle's power to confront falsehood and to never let deception darken her path. The moment she lit the candle for the first time in the dim study of the manor, its flame glowed steady and bright, a silent promise of honesty. Yet as she began to venture out into the world beyond the manor's walls, Isabel soon discovered that the candle's magic was not merely a relic of the past, but a living, breathing guide in a world rife with subtle deceit and hidden guile. It was on a chilly autumn evening at a bustling market in a nearby town that Isabel encountered the first true test of the candle's power. Amid the vibrant stalls and cheerful banter, she listened to a merchant extol the virtues of his wares, claiming they were of the finest quality in all the land. Suspicious of the merchant's overblown promises, Isabel held the candle near him. Almost immediately, the flame began to flicker violently, a quiver that grew more pronounced with each insincere word. The change was subtle, yet unmistakable. The candle's gentle glow now wavered, casting erratic shadows on the cobblestones. The merchant, startled by the sudden shift in ambiance, faltered mid-sentence and mumbled incoherently. Nearby shoppers exchanged uneasy glances, sensing that something was amiss. For Isabel, the candle had spoken, a silent testament to the dishonesty that lurked behind the merchant's smooth tongue. This revelation, though small, emboldened her. The candle was not merely a symbol of truth, but an active force that could expose deceit even in the busiest of settings. As Isabel journeyed further into a world that thrived on half-truths and subtle lies, she found that the candle's power came with a heavy burden. In the quiet solitude of night, when the conversations grew hushed and the facades of polite society began to crumble, the candle's flame would dim and quiver in the presence of even the smallest untruth. A white lie told to spare feelings, a deceitful whisper to hide a mistake. Isabel began to question, was the candle condemning all forms of untruth, or was it urging people to embrace honesty even in its most tender forms? The deeper she delved into the candle's mystery, the more she realized that truth was not always black and white. Some lies, she discovered, were told out of kindness or to protect fragile hearts. Yet the candle's magic was impartial. It shone a light on deception without judgment, revealing the gap between words and reality. The more she witnessed, the more she came to understand that the candle was a mirror reflecting the complexities of the human soul, a reminder that every flicker was a call to reconcile with one's inner truth. The candle's influence soon reached far beyond marketplaces and quiet studies. Isabel found herself entangled in the intrigues of a noble court, where political maneuvering and whispered conspiracies were as common as the changing of the seasons. In the opulent halls of a grand palace, she was invited as a guest to a lavish banquet, a gathering of the powerful, where allegiances were forged and broken in hushed tones. Seated among courtiers draped in silks and adorned with jewels, Isabel carried the candle discreetly, its flame hidden beneath a velvet cloth. As the evening progressed, subtle hints of deception began to surface. Polite smiles masking hidden ambitions, courteous compliments concealing envious malice, and promises made in the candlelight that later dissolved into empty air. When a particularly persuasive nobleman spoke of a grand alliance, promising prosperity and unity, Isabel felt the candle twitch under the weight of his untruths. The flame's erratic dance drew the attention of a few discerning onlookers, whose eyes widened as they too sensed that the elegant words were nothing more than elaborate lies. Though Isabel felt the cold sting of isolation in that moment, aware that truth in such a gilded cage was a dangerous commodity, the candle reaffirmed its power. It became a silent witness to the hidden dynamics of power, a beacon of integrity amid a sea of pretense. Her heart ached for the victims of such deception, and she vowed that one day the truth would emerge, no matter how deeply buried beneath layers of falsehood. Haunted by the weight of her newfound knowledge, Isabel embarked on a solitary journey through the countryside, seeking answers about the candle's origins and its deeper meaning. In the solitude of her travels, amidst winding roads and starlit nights, she encountered souls whose lives were steeped in sorrow and regret, people whose hearts had grown cold from years of living behind carefully constructed facades. One such encounter was with an old weathered storyteller named Marcus, whose eyes held the memories of 1,000 unspoken truths. Marcus confided that he had once been a celebrated orator in his youth, but over time, the relentless barrage of political lies and personal betrayals had worn him down until he could no longer find joy in the truth. Listening to his tale, Isabel felt a profound kinship with him. She shared with Marcus the strange power of the candle, how its flame flickered at the mere utterance of deception, and how it had compelled her to seek a purer path in life. Together, they journeyed to an ancient grove, reputed to be a place of healing and revelation. In the quiet sanctuary of nature, where every rustle of the wind and every whisper of the trees spoke of authenticity, Marcus found a glimmer of hope, and the candle's steady glow reminded them both that truth, though fragile, could endure. As Isabel delved deeper into the mystery of the candle, she discovered ancient texts hidden within the manor's forgotten library that spoke of a sacred flame, a divine fire that had the power to purify the heart and illuminate the path to redemption. The texts recounted that the candle had once belonged to a revered oracle who had used its magic to guide lost souls and to ensure that truth prevailed in times of great turmoil. The oracle had inscribed a series of cryptic verses along the candle's base, suggesting that its power was not merely reactive, but transformative. It was said that if one could learn to harness the candle's flickering light, they could also ignite the sacred flame within their own heart, a flame that would burn away falsehood and reveal the unvarnished truth of existence. Determined to unlock this deeper potential, Isabel spent long nights in meditation, watching the candle's flame with a fervent intensity. She practiced silence and introspection, seeking to understand the subtle interplay between light and shadow, truth and deception. Slowly, she began to perceive a rhythm in the candle's flickers, a delicate pulse that seemed to sync with the beating of her own heart. The more she attuned herself to its cadence, the clearer it became that the candle was not merely a passive object, it was a living testament to the power of authenticity. With each flicker, it beckoned her to confront her own truths, to mend the fractures within her soul that had been hidden by layers of self-deception. The turning point came during a stormy night when Isabel returned to her manor after a particularly arduous journey of introspection. The wind howled outside, and rain lashed against the windows as if echoing the turmoil within her. In the solitude of her candlelit study, she sat before an antique mirror, a relic passed down from her ancestors, that was said to reveal not just one's reflection, but the true essence of the soul. With the candle of truth flickering steadily beside her, she began to speak her innermost thoughts aloud. At first her words were tentative, a confession of long-held regrets and whispered doubts. But as the night deepened, her voice grew stronger, more assured. In that intimate moment, as her words filled the room, the mirror began to shimmer. Slowly, images emerged, fragments of her past, moments of both joy and sorrow, and the many faces she had worn in her quest for self-acceptance. The candle's flame danced in harmony with these visions, flickering more fiercely as each hidden truth was laid bare. In that confrontation with her own soul, Isabel saw the pain of every lie she had ever told herself, the small deceptions that had accumulated over time, obscuring her authentic self. The mirror revealed that these falsehoods were like shadows, ephemeral yet insidious, and that the candle's purpose was to guide her toward reclaiming the luminous truth within. With tears streaming down her face, she vowed to live no longer in the cold comfort of pretense, but to embrace the raw, unfiltered reality of her existence. In the days and weeks that followed that revelatory night, Isabel underwent a profound transformation. The candle, once a mere indicator of truth, became a symbol of her inner rebirth. Its steady glow, now imbued with the warmth of her newfound authenticity, lit her path as she mended relationships long strained by hidden lies and began to forge a life grounded in integrity. Friends and acquaintances remarked upon the subtle change in her, a radiance that seemed to emanate from within, a quiet assurance that came from having faced one's inner darkness and emerged triumphant. Isabel shared her journey with others, teaching them the delicate art of listening to the silent language of the heart. In community gatherings held on crisp, clear nights, she would light a candle and invite those present to speak their truth, no matter how painful. In these shared moments of vulnerability, the power of the candle's flickering light not only exposed deceit, but also illuminated the beauty of raw, unvarnished honesty. Slowly, a quiet revolution of authenticity swept through her community, transforming relationships and healing old wounds. Years passed, and the legend of the Candle of Truth grew to encompass not only Isabel's personal journey, but also the collective transformation of an entire community. The once hidden manor became a sanctuary for seekers of truth, a place where the candle's soft, unwavering glow was a constant reminder that every lie, no matter how small, could be a stepping stone to greater understanding when confronted with courage and compassion. Scholars, mystics, and poets visited the manor to study the candle and to listen to Isabel's accounts of its power. Her writings, meticulously recorded in journals filled with heartfelt prose and timeless wisdom, were compiled into a book that traveled far and wide, a testament to the idea that truth, however elusive, was the foundation upon which all meaningful lives were built. The candle itself was enshrined in a small alcove within the manor, where visitors could sit in silence and meditate on the interplay between light and shadow, honesty and illusion. Its gentle flickers became a symbol of the eternal struggle to live authentically, a reminder that every moment was an opportunity to shed the weight of deception and to embrace the unyielding light of truth. Now, as the world around her changed with the passage of time, Isabel's legacy endured. a timeless reminder that the journey toward truth is both personal and universal. In quiet moments of reflection, when the evening light softened and the heart was open, one could still feel the reassuring warmth of the candle of truth. It whispered softly that every lie carries a hidden cost, but also that every truth, once embraced, can set the soul aflame with the light of authenticity. In every flicker of its flame, the candle sang a gentle lullaby, a song of hope, redemption, and the endless quest to live unburdened by deceit. And so, the legend of the candle that flickers in the presence of lies remains, echoing through the corridors of time as a beacon for all who dare to seek the pure, radiant light of truth. Thus ends the saga of the Candle of Truth, a long, intricate tale of discovery, confrontation, and transformation, where every flicker of light is a reminder that the journey to reclaim one's authentic self is the most courageous path of all. In the sleepy village of Willowbrook, nestled among ancient oak groves and misty hills, old wives' tales and hushed warnings were passed down from generation to generation. Among these legends, none was more chilling than that of the room that grew colder. Locals claimed that the room had once belonged to a noble family whose tragic fate had cursed the very walls of their ancestral mansion. It was said that during a fateful winter, when grief and sorrow overwhelmed the household, a bitter dispute led to the untimely death of a beloved daughter. Overwhelmed by grief, the father, rumored to have dabbled in forbidden rituals, attempted to harness the forces of nature to preserve her memory. Instead, he unwittingly invoked a curse that condemned the room to a perpetual descent into cold, a physical manifestation of the icy grip of sorrow that had claimed his heart. The legend took root in Willowbrook. Some swore they felt an inexplicable chill when passing near the mansion's abandoned wing, and even the robust summer sun seemed to have little power against the unyielding cold emanating from that hidden chamber. The mansion itself, known as Blackwood Manor, stood isolated on the edge of a dense forest. Once a beacon of prosperity and familial pride, it had fallen into neglect over the decades following the family's ruin. Ivy crept along its weathered stone walls, and the once grand facade was now a silent witness to time's inexorable march. Within the labyrinthine corridors of Blackwood Manor, the cursed room lay behind a heavy oak door in a wing few dared to enter. The room's reputation had grown over time, whispered among caretakers and local historians who believed that it held the essence of the tragedy, a physical space where warmth was stolen and memories were frozen in time. It was in this mansion that a young archivist named Cecilia found herself drawn by fate. Cecilia, with her inquisitive mind and gentle soul, had always been fascinated by the past and the secrets it concealed. While cataloging the manor's neglected records, she came across cryptic references to a chamber of eternal frost that sent shivers down her spine. Determined to uncover the truth behind the legend, Cecilia resolved to explore the forbidden wing of Blackwood Manor, a decision that would alter her life forever. On a crisp autumn evening, when twilight merged with the impending chill of night, Cecilia ventured into the neglected wing of the mansion. With a lantern in hand and a heart pounding with both fear and excitement, she found the door mentioned in the faded records. The door was heavy, adorned with intricate carvings of frost and ivy, and as she pushed it open, a gust of frigid air greeted her like a warning. Inside was a small, dimly lit room that at first appeared deceptively normal. A single window, though clouded with dust, allowed a muted glow of moonlight to spill across a once elegant carpet. The room's furnishings, a wooden desk, a set of chairs, a mantel clock frozen in time, seemed untouched by the decay that had claimed the rest of the manor. Yet as Cecilia stepped further in, a subtle, creeping cold began to permeate the space. At first it was but a whisper, a coolness that tickled her skin. But as minutes passed, the temperature dropped noticeably, and the chill grew deeper, seeping into her bones and into the very fabric of her thoughts. Cecilia set up her small workspace in one corner of the room, intent on documenting every sensation and sound. With her quill and journal, she began to record the phenomenon. As she wrote, the air turned so cold that her breath became visible, a fine mist of vapor that hung in the lantern's light. The room's temperature continued to plummet steadily, as if the walls themselves were absorbing the heat of life. Cecilia could feel her fingers growing numb, and her heart pounded as she realized that the curse was not just a story, but an active force, a magic that drew warmth away, leaving only the stark, unrelenting cold. Every tick of the old clock on the mantel seemed to echo louder, as if counting down the minutes until her own vitality might succumb to the chill. Yet even as a shiver ran through her, Cecilia felt compelled to press on, driven by a desire to understand the source of this unyielding frost. The room was no longer merely a physical space. It had become a crucible for her emotions, a place where the very passage of time was measured in degrees of cold. As the night deepened, Cecilia began to notice peculiar phenomena. At the far end of the room, where the shadows stretched longer, she heard faint sounds, whispers that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. They were the echoes of voices long silenced, fragments of conversations and cries of anguish that belonged to a time long past. In those whispers, she sensed the lingering sorrow of the family who had once inhabited the mansion, and the terrible tragedy that had cursed the room. Cecilia's mind raced as she pieced together the fragmented memories conveyed by the cold whispers. She recalled the old family records that spoke of a lost daughter, a grief-stricken father, and a forbidden ritual gone awry. It was as if the room was reliving its tragic history, each moment of despair causing the temperature to drop further. The whispers grew louder and more coherent, urging her to confront the lingering pain, to understand that the cold was not merely a physical phenomenon, but a manifestation of deep, unhealed sorrow. Driven by both dread and determination, Cecilia resolved to uncover the true nature of the curse. She scoured the mansion's dusty archives, poring over ancient diaries and brittle letters that recounted the events leading to the curse. One particularly faded journal belonged to a man named Lord Edmund Blackwood, the last master of the mansion. In a series of heartbreaking entries, Edmund confessed to his desperate attempt to preserve the memory of his beloved daughter through forbidden rites. His words spoke of a ritual performed on a bitter winter night, a ritual intended to capture her essence and eternalize her beauty. Instead, the magic had turned sour, and in its backlash, the room had become a prison of cold, a place where grief and regret were forever locked away. Cecilia's heart ached as she read the journal, and she felt an overwhelming urge to set things right. Determined to break the curse, she recalled a passage that hinted at a counter-ritual, a way to restore the warmth of life by honoring the memory of the lost and offering forgiveness to the ancient spirit of sorrow. According to the passage, the curse could be lifted if one could confront the tragic past head-on, acknowledging the pain without letting it consume the present. The ritual required 3 sacred elements: a tear shed in sincere grief, a relic of the past that held a cherished memory, and a flame that burned with the pure light of hope. With trembling resolve, Cecilia prepared to perform the counter-ritual. She gathered a small, delicate locket that had once belonged to the lost daughter, a relic that glowed faintly with the warmth of bygone days. Then, in the solitude of the cursed room, she allowed herself to weep genuine tears of sorrow and remembrance. Each tear, as it fell, shimmered with a fragile light before merging with the cold air. Finally, she lit a single candle, its flame steady and defiant against the encroaching chill. Standing at the center of the room, with the locket cradled in one hand and the candle in the other, Cecilia recited a prayer of forgiveness and remembrance. a heartfelt plea to the ancient spirit that haunted the room. Her voice, soft yet resolute, filled the chamber with words of healing and hope. The air around her began to stir, and slowly, imperceptibly at first, the cold receded. The temperature, which had dropped so drastically, started to rise, gradually like the gentle thaw of winter giving way to spring. For what felt like an eternity, Cecilia chanted and wept, each moment a step toward releasing the sorrow that had so long bound the room. The whispers of the past softened, their mournful tones giving way to a quiet harmony, as if the very walls were exhaling a sigh of relief. The locket, too, seemed to pulse with a renewed warmth, its presence a tangible reminder of love rather than loss. At the climax of the ritual, a sudden, breathtaking transformation took place. The once icy air filled with the gentle radiance of a rising dawn, even though the night was far from over. The old mantel clock began to tick once more, its sound resonating with the renewed pulse of life in the room. Cecilia, her eyes shining with both exhaustion and triumph, felt a warmth spreading from her chest, a warmth that defied the lingering chill and filled every corner of the cursed chamber. The room that had grown colder with each passing minute was now infused with the light of redemption and the promise of renewal. The shadows that had once seemed to cling to the walls in a frozen despair now danced softly in the gentle glow of the candlelight. The curse had not vanished entirely, for echoes of sorrow still lingered in the corners, but its hold had been broken enough to allow warmth and life to return. In the days that followed the ritual, Blackwood Manor began to transform. The cursed room, once a prison of eternal cold, became a sanctuary of healing. Cecilia continued her work, tending to the room as she would a wounded soul, and slowly the scars of the past softened. Visitors who came seeking answers found that the room, while still touched by sorrow, now exuded a quiet comfort in a promise of hope. Word of the miracle spread through Willowbrook and beyond. Scholars, mystics, and ordinary townsfolk came to witness the transformation of the haunted room, and many found solace in its gentle warmth. Cecilia's courageous act of confronting the tragic past had not only lifted a curse, but had also united the community in a shared commitment to honor memory with love and forgiveness. The room became a symbol, a reminder that even in the darkest, coldest moments, there exists the potential for healing if one dares to face the pain with an open heart. Years passed, and the tale of the room that grew colder with every lingering moment became a cherished part of local lore. Blackwood Manor, once shrouded in mystery and sorrow, transformed into a place of reflection where people came to remember and to heal. Cecilia, now regarded as a gentle guardian of the past, taught others the importance of embracing one's history, both the joy and the pain, so that the spirit might emerge whole and resilient. She founded a small haven within the manor, a space where people could gather to share their stories, cry their sorrows, and ultimately find comfort in the collective journey of healing. The room itself was lovingly restored, its icy legacy a permanent reminder of the transformative power of forgiveness and the courage to face one's deepest fears. It served as a pilgrimage site for those seeking renewal, a sacred space where the cold of the past was met with the warmth of human compassion. In the quiet twilight of a new era, as the seasons continued their eternal cycle, the legacy of the cursed room endured, a testament to the belief that even the coldest, darkest places can be thawed by the light of understanding and the heat of compassion. Visitors to Blackwood Manor often remarked on the room's dual nature. Though it had once been a harbinger of despair, it had now become a symbol of the human capacity for change. For in every heart lies a room where memories are stored, some warm with the glow of love, others chilled by the touch of sorrow. It is our choice to nurture these spaces, to let the light of empathy melt away the frost of regret, and to transform our inner darkness into a beacon of hope. Thus ends the saga of the room that grows colder the longer one stays. A timeless story of confrontation, redemption, and the endless journey toward healing. In every whispered memory, every tear shed in its presence, in every gentle thaw of the heart, the legacy of that fated chamber lives on, inviting all who enter to embrace the truth that even the deepest cold can be overcome by the warmth of a compassionate soul. In the mists of antiquity, when empires rose and crumbled with the capricious moods of fate, there existed a civilization known only as the Eldrathi. The Eldrathi were a people of profound wisdom and artistry. They believed that the universe was an endless tapestry woven from dreams, memories, and forgotten desires. In their most sacred traditions, they spoke of realms that had been sealed away, realms that contained the wisdom of ages past, the echoes of long-forgotten songs, and the bittersweet remnants of lives no longer lived. It was during this golden era that the Eldrathi forged a mystical key. Crafted by their master smith, Alien, whose hands were said to be guided by the very spirit of the cosmos, the key was made from an alloy of enchanted silver and meteoric iron, imbued with incantations sung under a converging sky. Inscribed along its delicate filigree were runes in a lost tongue, a promise that the key would one day unlock the gates to the realms that had slipped away from mortal ken. For generations, the key was revered as a sacred relic, a symbol of hope that the lost wonders of the universe might one day be reclaimed by those pure of heart and steadfast in purpose. Many centuries later, in a quiet village nestled at the edge of a vast and ancient forest, a young wanderer named Cassian roamed with a yearning for adventure. Born to humble folk, Cassian was no stranger to hardship, yet his heart burned with a secret desire to discover what lay beyond the confines of the mundane. His dreams were haunted by visions of a glowing key, radiant in moonlight and inscribed with mysterious symbols that seemed to call to him in the language of forgotten legends. One crisp autumn day, while exploring the ruins of a crumbling temple deep within the forest's embrace, Cassian's eyes caught sight of an object half buried beneath a tangle of ivy and fallen leaves. Brushing aside the detritus of time, he uncovered a small, ornate key whose metal shimmered with an otherworldly light. The runes on its surface pulsed with a quiet cadence, as though whispering secrets of realms unseen. In that singular moment, Cassian felt destiny's hand guiding him. He knew instinctively that this key was no mere trinket. It was the legendary key of forgotten realms, and its discovery was the harbinger of an extraordinary journey. With the key safely tucked into a worn leather pouch, Cassian returned to his village, his mind ablaze with questions and possibilities. Word of his discovery spread swiftly, and although many dismissed it as the fanciful ramblings of an impetuous youth, a few wise elders recalled ancient lore that spoke of such a key. Among them was the venerable seeress, Maris, whose eyes had seen many hidden truths. She confirmed that the key was indeed fated to unlock portals to worlds lost to time. Emboldened by her words, Cassian prepared to leave his familiar life behind. With nothing but a sturdy pack, a handful of supplies, and the unwavering flame of determination in his heart, he set forth on a pilgrimage across rugged landscapes, over misty hills, and through shadowed valleys. His path was uncertain, and the road ahead was shrouded in mystery. Yet every step he took resonated with the promise that the key would guide him to realms beyond his wildest imaginings. After months of arduous travel, Cassian arrived at the edge of a forgotten canyon, where the sky opened wide above and the winds carried a song of ancient memory. There, carved into the sheer rock face, was an archway of twisted stone, its surface etched with symbols that matched those on his key. With a racing heart, he inserted the key into a hidden lock embedded in the arch. For a moment, time seemed to halt as the runes flared to life. Then slowly the massive stone door began to shift aside, revealing a shimmering portal. Stepping through, Cassian found himself in a realm bathed in soft twilight, a place where the air was filled with the echoes of distant, half-remembered dreams. In this realm of echoing dreams, the boundaries between reality and memory blurred. Hazy silhouettes of past lives drifted in the background, and every footstep on the soft, luminescent ground triggered gentle ripples of light and sound. Here, Cassian encountered the spectral figure of a long-forgotten poet who recited verses of love and loss, each word a piece of the tapestry that bound the realm together. The poet explained that every dream and every memory was preserved here, awaiting those who dared to unlock them. Cassian listened, enraptured, realizing that the key had not only opened a door to another world, but also unlocked fragments of his own forgotten past. In the realm beyond the first gate, Cassian's journey grew ever more challenging. As he traversed the soft, shifting landscape of dreams, he encountered illusions and trials designed to test his resolve, his compassion, and his willingness to confront the shadows within his own soul. In one such trial, he wandered into a glade where the trees whispered secrets of sorrow and regret. The voices of those who had once lived vibrant lives now lamented in mournful tones, and Cassian felt the weight of their unfulfilled dreams pressing upon him. Here he was forced to confront his deepest insecurities and the lingering scars of his own past. Only by accepting these painful truths did the path forward clear, allowing him to continue his quest with a newfound sense of purpose and empathy. Elsewhere in the realm, Cassian encountered a labyrinth of mirrors, each reflection showing him not as he was, but as he might have been under different circumstances. Some reflections were filled with triumph and joy, others with despair and loneliness. The mirrors challenged him to accept the full spectrum of his identity, to understand that every version of himself, every choice, made and unmade, was a vital thread in the tapestry of his existence. Through these trials, Cassian emerged not unscathed, but transformed, his spirit tempered like steel forged in the fires of adversity. As Cassian journeyed deeper, the forgotten realms began to converge. The boundaries between worlds blurred, and he discovered that the key could unlock not merely isolated gateways, but a network of interconnected realms, each a repository of lost knowledge, dreams, and the emotions of long-departed souls. In one realm, he found a vibrant city of light and sound, where every thought and memory was captured in shimmering crystals suspended in the air. In another, he entered a vast, serene desert, where the sands whispered the collective history of an entire civilization, each grain a memory of life once lived. In the heart of this convergence, Cassian met Eliana, a mystic whose lineage traced back to the ancient Eldrathi. With eyes that held the depth of millennia and a voice that resonated with cosmic wisdom, Eliana revealed that the key was not only a tool for exploration, but also a test, a way to discern those who were truly ready to inherit the legacy of the Forgotten Realms. She explained that many had sought the key's power for selfish gain, only to be consumed by the overwhelming weight of others' memories. But Cassian, with his unyielding compassion and resilient spirit, had proven himself worthy. Under Eliana's guidance, Cassian learned that the true purpose of the key was to restore balance between the forgotten and the present. It was a bridge between the ancient and the modern, a reminder that every realm, no matter how lost to time, held lessons for those willing to listen. Together, they ventured into the central nexus of the Forgotten Realms, a breathtaking realm where time and space melded into a swirling maelstrom of colors, sounds, and emotions, where every secret of the past shone like a star in the night sky. At the heart of the nexus, amid the swirling vortex of memories and dreams, Cassian encountered the ethereal spirit of Alien, the master smith of the Eldrathi, and the creator of the key. Alien's presence was both awe-inspiring and tender, a luminous figure who radiated warmth and ancient sorrow. In a voice that echoed like a melody from a distant past, Alien spoke to Cassian of destiny, sacrifice, and the eternal cycle of renewal. He revealed that the Forgotten Realms were not lost. They had simply been hidden from the eyes of those who had forgotten how to dream. The key, forged in a time when magic flowed freely through the world, was meant to remind humanity of its inherent capacity for wonder and transformation. It was a call to reclaim lost stories, to heal old wounds, and to embrace the vast, interconnected tapestry of existence. Alien imparted one final piece of wisdom, that the journey through the Forgotten Realms was an inward one as much as it was a physical odyssey, a journey to rediscover the hidden depths of the self and to forge a future built on the lessons of the past. With the revelations of the Nexus echoing in his soul, Cassian prepared to return to the world he had known, a world that, despite its mundane routines and transient distractions, held the potential for transformation. With Eliana at his side and the key still warm in his hand, he retraced his steps through the labyrinth of Forgotten Realms. Each gateway he passed through seemed to fade gradually into memory, yet the lessons he had learned remained etched in his heart like sacred inscriptions. When Cassian finally emerged from the last portal into the familiar landscape of his homeland, he found himself forever changed. His eyes, now imbued with the wisdom of countless forgotten souls, saw the world with a renewed clarity. The mundane had become magical, and every encounter was a chance to honor the legacy of the past. With his journal filled with the stories of realms lost and found, he became a storyteller, a guardian of memories destined to inspire others to dream again. In the years that followed, Cassian dedicated himself to sharing the knowledge of the Forgotten Realms. He traveled far and wide, speaking to communities about the power of memory and the importance of preserving the stories that time had nearly erased. His words, imbued with the magic of the key, sparked a quiet revolution among those who had long felt disconnected from the past. New generations learned to listen to the echoes of their ancestors, to reclaim the beauty of dreams once forgotten, and to honor the infinite tapestry of life. The key, now celebrated as both a relic and a symbol of hope, was housed in a grand museum, a sanctuary where scholars, dreamers, and seekers could come to marvel at its intricate design and be reminded of the profound truths it represented. Exhibits were dedicated to the lost realms Cassian had explored, each a tribute to the idea that even the most forgotten parts of our history hold lessons for the future. Artifacts, paintings, and writings inspired by his journey filled the halls, and the story of the key became a beacon for all who yearned to explore the vast corridors of memory and possibility. Even as Cassian's days on this earth slowly dwindled, the spirit of his journey lived on in the hearts of those he had touched. In quiet moments, under starlit skies and the gentle glow of a full moon, people could feel the faint pulse of the key's ancient magic, a reminder that the gates of forgotten realms were never truly closed. The key had taught them that every ending was merely the threshold to a new beginning, that the past, present, and future were intricately interwoven in a tapestry of infinite wonder. In his final days, surrounded by friends, family, and admirers, Cassian penned his memoirs, a heartfelt chronicle of his travels through realms of dreams and memory. His writings, rich with detail and imbued with both melancholy and hope, became treasured texts that continued to inspire long after his passing. And on clear moonlit nights, when the wind carried a hint of magic, it was said that one could still hear his gentle voice echoing among the ancient trees, calling on those who would listen to unlock their own forgotten dreams. Now, in the quiet corners of libraries, in the whispered conversations of elders, and in the dreams of those who dare to imagine, the legend of the Key of Forgotten Realms endures. It is a story of transformation, of the eternal quest to reclaim what has been lost, and of the profound truth that every heart contains its own secret realm waiting to be unlocked. The key may be a tangible artifact forged in the fires of ancient magic, but its true power lies in the promise that every life can be transformed by the courage to remember, to learn, and to dream anew. Thus, the tale of the key that unlocks the gates of forgotten realms remains a timeless saga, a beacon of hope and renewal for all who believe that the past is never truly lost, and that within every soul lies the potential for infinite, wondrous transformation. Long before modern memory, in an age when gods still walked the earth and magic was woven into the very fabric of existence, there existed a secluded kingdom known as Alarion. In this realm, art and mysticism were held in the highest regard, and music was believed to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. It was during these halcyon days that an enigmatic minstrel named Lysander, whose soul was both tormented and inspired by the mysteries of life, dreamed of creating an instrument that could reach beyond mortal bounds. Deep in the sacred groves of Alarion, where the silver light of the moon bathed ancient oaks and whispered secrets in a language older than time, Lysander sought guidance from the spirit of the forest. Under a sky alight with the constellations of forgotten gods, he discovered an ethereal melody, a lament of lost souls and yearning hearts. Moved beyond measure, he fashioned a flute from the hollowed branch of a venerable tree, its wood imbued with the whispers of the night and the gentle caress of the wind. With delicate carvings of arcane symbols etched along its surface, and a core of crystalline essence running through it, the flute was born, a key to unlocking the barrier between this world and the one that lay hidden beyond. Thus the flute of whispered souls was created, its magic a fusion of beauty and melancholy, designed to call forth those spirits that lingered in the twilight between life and death. As tales of the enchanted flute spread throughout Alarion, seers and mystics prophesied that the instrument would one day pass into mortal hands, a sign that the time had come to mend the ancient rift between the living and the departed. In hushed gatherings, wise elders recounted that whoever possessed the flute would be granted the power to commune with lost souls, to glean wisdom from the whispers of the past, and perhaps to reconcile unresolved sorrows that haunted their heart. Yet they also warned that such power was a double-edged sword, for to call forth spirits from beyond came with a price, a gradual erosion of the boundary between self and the other, risking that the soul might be forever altered by the voices of the departed. In secret verses hidden in scrolls and etched upon temple walls, the prophecy foretold of a wanderer whose life was marred by loss and who would find solace and purpose in the music of the unseen. This wanderer, they said, would wield the flute not for vanity or conquest, but as a bridge to heal wounds that time could not mend. Centuries later, in a modest village at the edge of a great whispering forest, lived a young woman named Alara. Born to humble folk and orphaned by a cruel twist of fate, she grew up with a heavy heart and a longing to understand the mysteries of existence. The old tales of Alarion and the legendary flute had been passed down in lullabies and folklore, and from a tender age, Alara felt an inexplicable pull toward that fabled instrument. In her dreams, she often heard its distant, haunting notes, notes that promised answers, healing, and the gentle caress of hope. When fate led her to a crumbling estate rumored to have once belonged to a secret society of mystics, Alara discovered an ancient chest hidden beneath the floorboards of a forgotten attic. Inside, wrapped in velvet and old parchment, lay the flute of whispered souls. The instrument shimmered with an inner light as if waiting for its destined bearer. With trembling hands and a soul brimming with both trepidation and anticipation, Alara took the flute, feeling an immediate surge of connection, as though the flute had known her long before she ever held it. That night, under the full glow of a silver moon, Alara ventured to a quiet clearing by a serene lake. With the flute pressed gently to her lips, she played a soft, tentative melody, a simple tune that carried the weight of unspoken grief and the delicate hope of new beginnings. As the notes drifted into the cool night air, a wondrous thing occurred. From the darkened edges of the clearing, figures began to materialize. Ethereal silhouettes, translucent and shimmering with an otherworldly luminescence, gathered around her. They were the spirits of those long lost, the echoes of lives and loves that had faded from memory, now drawn forth by the mournful beauty of the melody. Among these apparitions, Alara saw faces both familiar and strange. Some wore expressions of serene acceptance, while others were marked by sorrow and longing. The spirits moved silently, their presence both comforting and melancholic, as if they were the gentle custodians of forgotten memories. Alara, overcome by the magnitude of what she had summoned, felt both awe and a profound sense of responsibility. The flute had indeed unlocked the gate to another realm, and in doing so, it had woven her fate with those of the departed. In the days that followed, Alara found that the power of the flute was as much a blessing as it was a burden. Whenever she played its haunting melody, the veil between the living and the dead would thin, and the spirits would come forth to offer their silent counsel. From an old woman whose eyes held the wisdom of centuries, she learned secrets of healing herbs and ancient remedies. From a forlorn young man, she heard the echo of a love lost in a war long forgotten. Each encounter filled her with both solace and an aching sadness, as she realized that every spirit carried its own legacy of joy and sorrow. Yet with each communion, Alara also began to notice subtle changes within herself. The boundary between her own memories and those of the spirits grew increasingly blurred. At times, she found herself weeping for emotions that were not entirely her own, or smiling at recollections of lives she had never lived. It was as if the flute was weaving a tapestry of shared experience, a merging of souls that enriched her understanding of love and loss, but also threatened to erode the very essence of who she was. Friends and neighbors began to whisper about the strange glow that emanated from Alara's cottage at night and the spectral figures that appeared at her door. Some marveled at the healing power of her music, while others grew wary of the uncanny transformations they observed in her. The village, once steeped in simple, untroubled life, found itself gripped by both wonder and fear at the unfolding legend of the flute. Realizing that she must find a way to control the growing influence of the flute, Alara sought the wisdom of an ancient seer known only as the Oracle of Shadows, a recluse said to reside in a cavern deep within the forest, where time itself moved differently. After days of arduous travel through moss-laden trails and under a canopy of whispering leaves, Alara arrived at the Oracle's sanctuary. The cavern was aglow with bioluminescent fungi and filled with soft echoes that seemed to sing the hymns of the past. The Oracle, a figure draped in robes of midnight blue and silver thread, listened intently as Alara recounted her experiences. With eyes that sparkled with both sorrow and ancient knowledge, the Oracle explained that the flute was not merely an instrument of summoning, it was a conduit for the unspoken desires of the human soul. To call forth the spirits is to invite their memories into your own, the Oracle intoned. Each note you play weaves you closer to the tapestry of lives long gone. If you wish to preserve your own identity, you must learn to separate your heart from the chorus of the past. The seer then revealed that to achieve such mastery, Alara must embark on a final, perilous journey, a pilgrimage into the heart of the spirit realm itself, where she would confront the very essence of the flute's magic. Only by facing the source of its power could she hope to reclaim her own soul while still harnessing the gift of communion with the departed. Armed with the Oracle's guidance and a resolve tempered by both hope and trepidation, Alara prepared for the journey that would take her beyond the veil of mortal existence. On a night when the full moon shone with an intensity that seemed to set the sky ablaze, she returned to the clearing by the lake. With the flute in hand and the oracle's talisman, a pendant inscribed with protective runes around her neck, she played a somber melody that resonated with the pulse of the earth. As the final note faded into the stillness of the night, the air around her began to shimmer. A swirling vortex of light and shadow materialized before her, a portal to the spirit realm where the collective memories of the departed converged. With a deep breath and a final, determined glance at the world she knew, Alara stepped into the vortex. Inside the spirit realm, time and space lost all meaning. The landscape was an ever-shifting mosaic of colors and echoes, a surreal dreamscape where forgotten memories floated like luminescent orbs in the air. Ethereal voices sang in unison, weaving together the stories of countless souls. Here, the boundaries between self and other dissolved into a profound unity of existence. Amidst this cosmic tapestry, Alara encountered a radiant figure who introduced itself as the guardian of the flute, a being born from the convergence of human desire and ancient magic. The guardian explained that the flute's power was derived from the collective yearning of humanity, a desire to remember, to feel, to transcend the mundane. It cautioned Alara that if she wished to control the magic without losing herself entirely, she must perform a sacred ritual of separation. This ritual, it said, would allow her to retain the gift of communion with the spirits while safeguarding her own identity. Under the shimmering canopy of the spirit realm, Alara gathered the ethereal remnants of memories that swirled around her like stardust. With trembling hands and a resolute heart, she began the ritual as instructed by the guardian. She played a series of notes on the flute that resonated with both sorrow and hope, a melody that wove through the fabric of the spirit realm like a silver thread. As she played, the voices of the departed rose in a crescendo, forming a chorus that echoed the ancient lament of lost souls. Slowly, the shimmering orbs of memory began to coalesce into distinct shapes. One by one, Alara retrieved these fragments, using the protective power of the oracle's talisman and her own inner strength. With each note played and each memory separated, she felt the dual pull of the flute's magic, the irresistible call of other lives and the gentle reminder of her own essence. Hours passed in the timeless dance of music and spirit until finally, the voices receded into a quiet hum, leaving behind a profound silence and a renewed sense of self. The guardian, its ethereal form glowing with approval, spoke in a voice that resonated like the echo of a distant bell. "You have succeeded, Alara. You have reclaimed the purity of your own soul while preserving the wisdom of the forgotten. Remember this balance, for it is the key to harnessing the power of the flute without losing yourself in its depths." Emerging from the vortex of the spirit realm, Alara found herself once again in the clearing by the lake. The night was calm, the full moon high and gentle, its light shimmering on the surface of the water. The flute, now silent in her hands, pulsed with a subtle glow, a reminder of the journey she had undertaken and the wisdom she had earned. In the days that followed, Alara returned to her village with a newfound sense of purpose. The experiences of the spirit realm had left an indelible mark on her heart, and she dedicated herself to using the flute's magic not for escape, but for healing. She became a healer and a storyteller, guiding others through the labyrinth of their own memories, helping them reconcile with past sorrows and embrace the promise of renewal. Her gentle melodies, played on evenings when the veil between worlds was thin, offered solace to those burdened by regret and inspired hope in hearts long shuddered against the world. The village slowly came to see her not as a mysterious wanderer, but as a guardian of a sacred truth, that the past, with all its beauty and pain, was a vital part of who they were, and that by embracing it, one could forge a path to a brighter future. Years passed, and the legend of the Flute of Whispered Souls grew far beyond the borders of her small village. Travelers, scholars, and seekers of truth journeyed to hear its haunting melodies, and to glimpse the delicate interplay between life and the beyond. Elara's story, woven into the fabric of local lore, inspired countless souls to confront their own inner darkness and to seek the light hidden within. She established a sanctuary, a modest haven nestled in a grove where moonlight filtered softly through ancient trees, where people could gather to share their stories, heal their wounds, and learn the art of living in harmony with both the seen and the unseen. The sanctuary, much like the flute itself, became a symbol of transformation and hope, a testament to the idea that the power of memory and the call of the spirit could be harnessed with courage, compassion, and wisdom. Elara continued to play the flute on clear starlit nights, her music resonating with a delicate balance of melancholy and joy, a melody that reminded all who listened that even the most haunting of calls from beyond could lead to profound healing. The flute, once a vessel of boundless magic, was now a cherished relic of a journey that had forever altered the course of her life and the lives of those she touched. Now, as twilight falls gently over the world and the moon rises to cast its silver glow upon the earth, the legacy of the flute of whispered souls endures. In quiet moments, when the heart is open and the mind is still, one might hear a soft, ethereal melody drifting on the night air, a call from beyond that speaks of memories reclaimed, sorrows healed, and the eternal promise of renewal. Elara's sanctuary stands as a living monument to that sacred journey, and her story is told around firesides and in whispered conversations by the light of the full moon. The flute remains a beacon, a reminder that the boundaries between life and death, past and present, are as delicate as a note played in the stillness of the night, and that in embracing the voices of forgotten souls, we may find the strength to live more fully and love more deeply. Thus ends the saga of the flute that calls spirits from beyond, a timeless tale of magic and metamorphosis, of the delicate dance between sorrow and hope, and of the eternal quest to bridge the gap between the world we know and the realms that lie just beyond the veil. In every note, every whisper, and every silent echo of its melody, the legacy of the flute sings on, inviting all who dare to listen to rediscover the hidden depths of their own hearts.